So
Okay.
now, you did not say we should do a nuclear strike on anybody,
Absolutely.
right?
It is a dangerous fact of the world that we have nuclear arms, right? We have nuclear arms because we have already considered doing a nuclear strike under certain circumstances. That
Right.
is what the
And have
Cold
done
War was
a
about.
couple.
Yes. So this is the world that we're in right now. If we could uninvent these weapons, that would be great, right? But we have a nuclear doctrine, and it developed entirely in a Cold War context, where we were faced with the Soviet Union that was, for all of the flaws and all the ideological quirks, this was not a death cult and did not have the basis of being a death cult. These were rational actors, and their hopes and fears and aspirations were constrained by terrestrial concerns. These were not people who could say, we love death more than you infidels love life, right? And again, this is just 2 paragraphs in the End of Faith, right? This is not me talking ad nauseum about nuclear policy, but in just a very kind of game theoretic way, I asked us to consider how a belief in martyrdom, a belief in paradise, just unties this convention of mutually assured destruction as a deterrence. The Cold War was possible because neither side wanted to really play a game of chicken. When you're playing a game of chicken with someone who wants to get to paradise, you're screwed. You're going to lose this game of chicken, right? So, and the moment you accept, and again, many people don't accept this for reasons I cannot fathom, but the moment you accept that certain people really do believe in paradise, really do want to die and to get there, right? Or they're hoping to be martyred. This is that death today would not be a bad thing for them. And then you imagine us failing to keep the big bombs and the long-range missiles out of their hands. You imagine a regime that is just like ISIS, but they've got ICBMs. We have to find some way to avoid that. And the Muslim world in particular has to find some way to avoid that. The Pakistanis that already have bombs, right? They don't have the missile technology, but they have the bombs. They're a coup away from delivering these bombs into the hands of the Pakistani Taliban. We have to find some way to avoid that. And you have a belief system. We're taking you seriously. I mean, you're the people who are waiting for the Mahdi, and you're hoping. You realize that this world is just an antechamber for the world to come, and you want to get there.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second here. You don't really think the Iranians think that?
No,
do you?
I think I agree with you that there are people in Iran who think that, but they have not been in control. So
right.
Yes, no, Iran is distinct. I'm not saying that Iran is Al Qaeda or the Taliban. I mean, all of these groups are subtly different, but. What I was asking in those 2 paragraphs in the End of Faith was for us to consider the possibility, the horrible possibility that must be avoided at all costs, that a regime that is the psychological equivalent of the 19 hijackers, people who really are willing to hit the wall at 400 miles an hour, gets long-range nuclear weapons. I'm not saying we're in that situation, right? So, so again, we have to, and you have to follow every word in this argument. There's a difference between long-range nuclear weapons and nuclear weapons, right? Long-range means you can launch a missile from wherever you are and hit Paris and London and New York and Los Angeles, right? Even North Korea doesn't have that technology now. Pakistan does not have that technology. So it's not simply a matter of having nuclear weapons. But yes, if we can't have a Cold War with a regime, and I'm not saying Iran is this regime, but I'm saying there's a possible regime, a regime of true jihadists who prove with their actions that they really believe what they say they believe. And you have to just look at history and where we come from. Look at the Second World War. The nuclear bombs we dropped were not even the worst things we did in the Second World War. I mean, the firebombing of Hamburg and Dresden and Tokyo arguably killed many more people and in more horrible ways, right? In fact, the argument for using the nukes was that we wouldn't have to do any more firebombing. It would be such a punctate and startling show of power that we would actually save lives, both our own and the Japanese. You and I totally agree that we've made progress and we want to hold on to that progress, right? So yes, these were all war crimes by any standard, right? How we waged war we were fighting the Nazis, so we had a real enemy that and a very powerful one, but The way both sides behaved was just, it was completely insane by any moral standard in terms of the conscious targeting of civilians by the hundreds of thousands, right? So, and yes, one would hope we could never do that again. And we want to get to, what I want to do is get to a world where a war between the US and Iraq, or a war between the US and China, or just wars, is no more plausible than a war between Vermont and New Hampshire. You know, so we have to find ourselves to a situation of global civil society where things like North Korea, if they are in fact possible anymore, are looked at as a kind of crime problem, a hostage situation that the entire world has to intervene on, and we have to stop genocides when we see them.
So
but
now,
the question is how to get there, and a nuclear, and so you know, disarmament is something that we should absolutely attempt. But again, it's a difficult thing to do, given that the technology can't be uninvented, given that
no, I'm not very liberal in that regard. I don't believe disarmament is possible. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it's possible.
But I'm saying that there are certain people certain cultures, given their beliefs, given their stated beliefs, can't get these bombs.